Hello.
Hey, 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 It's the Island Shuffle. Woo! Woohoo!
I thought we were singing about horse food.
Oh, I mean, we could be, but I think it's better to sing about the podcast that we're doing right now.
Oh, true.
Because that's what we're doing.
Hello.
Welcome to the Island Shuffle. My name is Bean.
My name is James.
And together we are here to watch Lost in the wrongest order possible. We let the Lord above decide what episode we watch every week, and each week we try to talk about it, make heads or tails of it, and say, good episode, bad episode. Who's to say? Who knows?
Who knows?
At the end of the day, it's always a crazy ride.
This week, good episode.
Good episode, I think. This is season 1, episode 4, the 4th damn episode of the whole show.
Yes.
We are
in season 1 still.
We are 2 episodes out of the whole damn pilot, and my friend, this episode, it's a Locke episode.
It's a John Locke episode. Johnny Locke himself.
Jonathan Lockington.
Jonathan Lockington, born in Washington.
And the episode is called, of course, Walkabout.
Terry Quinn's autobiography.
Terry Quinn's autobiography. Terry Quinn's autobiography is pretty sad.
It is pretty sad, and it has so many things that don't involve Terry Quinn in the slightest.
Yes, there is. For how this is a Terry Quinn episode, there's not that much Terry Quinn in it. I mean, there's a substantial amount.
He gets maybe like 25% of the screen time, though.
Yeah, I will say the flashbacks in this, there's literally, I kept track, there's 4 whole flashbacks in the whole episode.
Yeah, that's it. They really go to town on those flashbacks, though. They're great.
They are impactful. This is like a pretty iconic episode in the history of the show.
This has the scene that I remember most.
This is like, if you've seen one episode or remember one moment from the show, it's probably the reveal at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a spoiler to talk about it now. We've definitely talked about it before.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
That classic bit.
Don't tell me what I'm capable of.
So Locke is a fella. You can't tell him what to do.
You can't tell him what to do.
If you try, you know what he's going to say to you?
Don't tell me what I can't do.
And you know what? He's not wrong. So how do you want to start with the flashbacks?
Let's start with the flashbacks.
Because I feel like they're so iconic.
And they're the only thing that is neatly packed.
Exactly. Everything else is kind of really sprawled and weird.
So many things going on at the same time.
So
Locke lives his life in the normal world. And one thing that we know about him is that he's always sitting down. But we don't know why.
We're sitting there thinking to ourselves, what could this be? He must he's sitting at an office desk.
Uh-huh.
He's sitting at the table. He's sitting in his bed. He's sitting at a different desk.
Uh-huh.
Why could a person be sitting so many times?
And, oh boy, you will find out later for what might be the biggest reveal that has happened today.
It's a hell of a reveal. Definitely the biggest reveal that's happened today.
Yeah.
Today,
it wasn't a big day for reveals.
Today is the day that the episode aired. And it just aired, and I cannot believe it. We got to dive in, because this episode is crazy.
It was mighty good.
We got to get our reactions down right now before the world does. Mm-hmm. And
we have to get there first.
Exactly.
So Twitter, you heard it here first, buddy.
Listen, you heard the ending of Walkabout here first.
Terry O'Quinn's autobiography.
Thank you, Terry.
Man, oh man. Terry O'Quinn, back before he was on an island.
Yes.
He was just working a shitty office job.
He's working a shitty office job. First scene we see of him in his office job is we see a close-up of him on a phone.
Yeah.
And he's talking mysterious. He's like, hey, General, I'll meet you at 1300 hours, and I'll bring the supplies at our usual rendezvous point. And we're thinking,
is he an army man?
Is he an army man? Is he on some top secret shit? And then smash cut to outside, and suddenly we realize, oh, he's just in a cubicle.
He's working in a cubicle. He's punching the numbers. He has that little machine, that's like a calculator with receipt paper coming at the top.
Yes, the adding machine.
The adding machine. You know that the machine that people used 15 years ago.
Yes, exactly 15 years ago on 2004? 2004. Adding machines were all the rage, at least where Locke worked, and did he work that adding machine.
He used the hell out of it. He had a computer, an adding machine, a telephone, and a asshole boss Randy.
Boy, very emblematic of... I feel like a lot of the imagery in this is so rooted in, like, oh boy, office jobs.
Oh yeah,
which
it's
is
like such an Office Space thing.
Which is so like something I learned entirely from TV and have never even kind of experienced.
Oh yeah, I know.
At least like in the traditional sense of just like
cubicle.
rows of cubicles.
The same fucking. It's always gray everywhere.
And the boss is always an asshole, like this boss who makes fun of him for talking on the phone. I guess.
It's like, why do you do this? Who's the colonel? You idiot. Get back to work. We will never say what it is that you actually do. I'm Randy. I'm probably 15 years younger than you. I have a stupid goatee. My dress shirt doesn't fit me very well.
And I'm here to say, you suck, Locke.
You suck, Locke.
The next scene we see is them in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Locke and his coworker. Playing what looks to be Risk, but with big army men on
it. That is what they're doing.
So it
is Risk with big army men.
And it is, like, I don't know what kind of Risk they're playing, but that's how I want to play Risk from now on.
Oh, it's cool. There's so much big army men going on.
And they're like, and also, like, I assume this is, like, a huge campaign that they've been, like, chipping away at for, like, I don't know how long their lunch break could possibly be that they could make such a dent into a Risk or a
They're
Risk-like
about 4
game.
hours into the game.
Yeah, that's why the boss is pissed.
I can understand why the boss does not like Terry O'Quinn.
Yes, it is fair.
Thank God Terry O'Quinn started acting after this because he was not very good at his job at the old adding machine.
He was not good at the adding machine, and he was not good at Risk with army boys.
He was not good. Well, maybe he was.
Yeah, I guess we never really see. They're playing, and
Randy comes back.
Randy comes through, and he's like, hey, your game is shitty, and you're an idiot.
Yeah, that is essentially what he says. He's like, oh, Colonel and the General, like,
look at
losers.
Look at the loser patrol on patrol again. Like, thanks, boss.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, boss. Fucking Randy.
Thanks, middle manager.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's exactly it. Thanks, guy who manages 6 people and is just mean to them.
It's so crazy how mean he is to them.
No one likes you.
So Locke says, well, listen, Randy, why don't you shut your mouth? Because guess what? I'm going on a walkabout. because a long time ago when I was going through rehab at the hospital, I decided a strange orderly told me about a walkabout, and I've just been thinking about it ever since.
This is the crazy thing. So This is episode 4 of the entire series. Locke's walkabout story is actually a great plot point. But we watched an episode like 10 episodes ago where they just destroy that plot point. In like season 6, they ruined it.
And season 4.
Season 4,
a mysterious orderly who we also saw berate Hurley for no real reason comes along and says, hey, I'm more than just an orderly. You should think about going on a walkabout. And when you get rejected from that walkabout, think about hopping on flight at 15. Hey, seems like a pretty good flight to me. What do I know? I'm just an orderly, wink.
It's insane. And it just serves to ruin what is a really good plot point.
Exactly. But, yeah, let's just focus on the plot point now. Not that there's a lot of bits in this episode where it's like new light or worse light, depending, is shed on them by what we already know.
Yeah.
And this is a moment where it's like, oh, this is a cool thing that kind of sucks when you know that it was, Jacob's magic touch or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways. Randy gives him shit and is like, walkabout, you can't do shit, you're an idiot.
You can't do that, Locke. You're always sitting down. I've never seen you stand up before.
And Locke retorts by saying, hey, guess what? This guy climbed Mount Everest with both his legs amputated?
Yeah, he was a double amputee.
He was a double amputee, and he climbed Mount Everest. And why? Because it's his destiny,
It's his
baby.
destiny, goddammit.
And Randy says...
Don't tell me what I can't do.
And Randy gives him a wedgie, and that's the scene.
Yeah, an atomic wedgie.
An atomic wedgie. And then there's a full minute of Locke with underwear over his head and just, like, flailing around and going, don't tell me what I can't do.
But there is, in that scene, there's a brief moment where Locke tells Randy he's going on the walkabout, and then Locke's army toys buddy, is like, whoa, you're actually doing it, eh? Have you told Helen?
Oh, yes.
And then Randy's like, Helen, you actually got a woman, Locke? You loser.
Who'd ever fuck you?
Yeah.
You're bald and an office worker.
And ripped.
True. Locke is ripped.
You're movie star hot.
You're movie star hot, but you're also a nerd.
Yeah.
So, next scene we see. Up until now, Locke is like pretty like normal seeming.
Yeah.
Like he's like pretty like mild mannered, just an office guy, which stands in contrast to like this badass hunter guy that he's presenting himself as on the island.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, he's a little like shy or like mild mannered, but he's nothing like this scene where we cut to him.
Yeah, he seems like a guy that I like.
Yeah, he seems like a guy like who's at your work and who's a nice guy.
Yeah.
And then we get to a scene where he's sitting in his bed and he's talking to Helen, and he says, "You know what? It felt great to tell Randy off." Which, good for you, Locke, telling Randy off. We don't see him tell Randy off, but I imagine it went a little something like this. You suck, Randy.
Suck it.
Suck my bald nuts.
Suck my bald nuts. They're bald like my head.
If you're thinking about them, just think of two of my head.
Yeah.
That's what they look like. So think about that whenever you're thinking about sucking on them.
That was in the deleted scenes.
Yeah, they kind of because it was 2004. They couldn't really get away with that.
It was the baldness was still not really accepted yet.
Exactly. You can talk about balls all you want.
Talk about nuts, yeah.
But if they were bald, then forget about it.
People didn't like that.
People did not like that. You know, I'm willing to bet people didn't like that, what we just said.
I don't know about that.
That's fair.
We'll let the readers.
We'll let the readers decide. Reader, beware, you're in for a scare.
This is an audio show. Good luck, buddy.
Listener, beware, you're in for a treat. So he's talking with Helen and he's saying, I told my boss to fuck off and it felt good. And I'm really doing it. I'm really going on this walkabout. It's this Australian kind of spiritual journey where you brave the elements and you kind of find your inner self and all that. And I'm doing it. And Helen's like, wow, that's great. Yeah, of course. Congratulations. And then Locke says, and guess what else? I got not one but 2 tickets to Australia. And then Helen drops the bombshell, saying, "Hey, that's very sweet, but you know where I'm not supposed to see customers."
Oh.
And it quickly turns into an incredibly sad scene where Locke is like, "I'm just a customer to you," and Helen goes, "I gotta hang up because we're out of time. Maybe you should get a therapist." And Locke says, "I have a therapist." It goes from like I can't believe how immediately the scene ramps up the Locke sadness.
Oh, he's such a loser. So Locke has formed a relationship. Well, Locke bought a vacation for the phone sex lady.
That's the headline.
That's what happened. Locke bought a round trip to Australia for the phone sex lady without telling her because I guess in his mind the phone sex lady is his girlfriend.
Yes.
But the crazy thing about that, or the fascinating thing about that, is on the island, Locke is such a intelligent person with really a good head on his shoulders.
Yes.
But 2 weeks before, he doesn't know that the phone sex lady is just a phone sex lady. He thinks that she's his girlfriend.
He's so he's working this menial job. He's making up new variations of Risk with his friend.
Yeah, with army men.
And
he goes home and buys conversation and pretends that the person wants to go on vacation with him.
Yeah, and then the final scene, the coup de grace, the scene everyone knows and loves. Locke is in Australia talking to the Walkabout guide, I guess. And the Walkabout guide is saying, look, we know you paid all the way to come here, but you neglected to tell us about your condition. And guess what? We gotta go. And Locke says...
Well, it zooms out.
Yes, it zooms out.
For the big reveal.
The big reveal. Locke doesn't just like to sit down a lot. He is in a wheeled chair.
A wheelchair.
You and I, of course, know this. I imagine many people know this because of how this
this
is kind of like a very famous, one of the most famous reveals of Lost. And it's like episode 4. It's literally one of the first things you learn about Locke. But yeah, he pulls away the wheelchair and starts screaming about how, don't you dare tell me what I can't do. Don't tell me what I can't do. This is my destiny.
It's my destiny, God damn it. Don't tell me what I can't do.
Classic scene where Locke is screaming and mad. And so the reason that reveal works in that context is because we've seen Locke walking around. The episode opens with like a cut to the moment of the crash where Locke kind of like looks at his feet, gets up, goes to help someone. And then we see that same scene again immediately after we learn that he's in a wheelchair. And then it kind of hits us all at once that like, oh, here's why Locke is suddenly the most competent man on Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the island healed his broken legs.
Yeah, because he is literally rediscovering life itself.
Yes, he has a whole new sense of purpose.
So it's very cool.
It's very well executed. I have expressed this in the past, and I'm going to express it lightly here because it's definitely handled way worse in other episodes.
Yeah.
But the idea of a person who is like disabled and defined by their disability and having that healed, making them like whole again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've never really gone through any kind of big major physical disability anyway. So I can't speak to it to a huge degree. So I'm not going to act like the authority on it, but it does strike me as a little bit whack and doesn't really like just a little bit whack.
It's the whole idea of treating him with a disability as being something that's broken that needs to be fixed.
Exactly. Like the whole like.
And then he gets fixed and everything is really great all of a sudden.
Yes, exactly. And that suddenly like lends a whole new like the fact that it lends a whole new perspective on Locke is cool and interesting. The fact that it's like, oh, now he's fixed or whatever is
now
whack.
He can literally be in the show,
especially
because we can't have a character in a wheelchair in the show.
I mean, that is a great point. That is a actually true and good point.
They couldn't do that.
They couldn't do that. Like.
They would never do that.
Especially with how Walkabout is structured to keep on like piling on the sadness. Yeah. And then to treat and he's in a wheelchair as like the cherry on the like sadness sundae. Yeah. That's like a little bit whack.
Yeah. It's
But at the same time, it's also one of the most iconic moments of the show.
Yeah.
So like that it's worth being critical of, but it's also like in the moment, you're like, holy shit, I shouldn't tell him what he can't do.
It's a cool reveal.
It's a cool reveal, for sure, because it has a lot of grander implications about the nature of the island, the nature of Locke's relationship to the island.
Locke's relationship to Helen.
Yes.
Helen's relationship to the money that Locke pays. And Locke's relationship to small army-style figures.
And Australia's relationship to Flight 815.
And Flight 815's relationship to Helen. Yes. Because she just lost her best client.
That's true. And she had a ticket on that very flight.
Oh, yeah, she could have been on that flight. So Helen could have been on that flight.
So you know what? Locke saved a life.
Locke saved a life, and also he ensured that many beautiful men and women and people of all types can enjoy phone sex from a certified professional named Helen for as long as Helen continues to do that.
Yes.
I think that's the real victory here, is that Helen's phone sex career was not cut short by a plane crash.
I mean, that's the real story. Helen, I want a Lost spinoff that's just all about Helen, the phone sex worker, who finds out about Flight 815,
aka Locke's wife.
Yes, true. Do you want to get into the island stuff? Because there's not a lot, but at the same time, there's a lot.
There's a lot of very brief things happening.
Yes. So this is literally episode 4, and the show is still kind of like introducing us to all these characters. Yeah. Which means that literally every single character gets a piece of something to do.
Gets a small piece,
Gets a little piece. So the first scene is there's something rustling in the fuselage.
Oh, yeah.
And Vincent's barking at it.
Vincent gets a piece.
Vincent gets a piece, and everyone's waking up looking at it. and they go to sneak in, and what's in the fuselage? We should clarify that the fuselage is like the crash is literally 4 days ago, so the fuselage still has a bunch of dead bodies in it.
It is a pit.
So the way they're framing it makes it seem like it's gonna be zombies.
Yeah.
It's gonna be someone came back.
Absolutely.
But
especially with like some sort of supernatural having already taken place on the island.
Exactly. But what it turns out to be is just a herd of boars. Yeah. And they kind of run through the island, and it's so dramatic. It literally is like someone's like, run! And then it's like shaky camera. Everyone's fleeing. You see a bunch of boars
Cloverfield for a minute.
Yep,
Did
exactly.
JJ do Cloverfield?
JJ, I think so.
Yeah, this was where he perfected Cloverfield.
Early season 1 has a lot of very shaky camera, which is, as I understand, classic JJ.
Get a frickin' steady cam, you idiot.
No, how will they know that it's chaotic if I don't wiggle the camera everywhere? Literally the scene where like it's pretty like it's shaky but it's not super distracting in that scene. In the like scene from when they flash back to the pilot scene where Locke is just like getting up for the first time, literally there's like one shot of Locke and the camera is just like wobbling back and forth and spending like whole seconds just like looking at the ground.
And he's just getting up.
I understand that there's a plane crash happening. There are ways to convey the chaos without just like wiggling the camera everywhere.
Yeah, without like throwing it.
There's a degree of wiggle that is acceptable.
There's some wiggle room here.
There is some wiggle room here, and I think they gave that camera work too much wiggle room. It's also like really funny because this is like, I know season 1 is always held up as like this is the season of Lost, and then it got bad from there. But in my mind, bad Lost is Lost, and and season 1 Lost is like another thing entirely.
Yeah. That's pretty much entirely true.
Because you have like a herd of boar being framed as the single most dramatic thing that has happened ever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whenever that happened, I was sort of shocked by how much drama they could take out of like some boar. Yeah. And then, 3 seasons later, they're literally at war with the others, and they're just like, get the guns, I guess. We're blowing up a bunch of people.
Literally a private militia invades the army.
Yeah. And they're like, this is chill.
This is just an everyday thing.
Yeah. This isn't that scary. Remember that time there were boar?
If we can deal with boar, we can deal with anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so it comes to light in the morning that they are running out of food. Another early season 1 thing where survival is a thing that actually has to matter. You gotta have food, and they realize they're out of food. And they're like, what the heck are we gonna do? I don't know. What the heck do we do? And everyone's kind of arguing, and Locke, for the first time in any significant capacity, steps up and says, we're gonna hunt those boars. And he gives like the fucking Jaws speech of like here's everything I know about boars. I'm a kind of a crazy looking guy, but you can trust because I have a knife, and you can trust me because of boars. There's got tusks and they this and that and the other.
I'm a boar expert.
And everyone's like, oh, we should talk about how Locke inserts himself into the conversation. Everyone's arguing. Jack's like, I don't know what we do. Hurley's like, I don't know what we do, and Sawyer sits down on a chair and says, well, what the heck do we do? And fleeing a knife is thrown next to Sawyer.
Like 2 inches from his head, maybe a foot from his head. A dagger, like, just hits, like, sticks into this wall why was there a wall there? I don't know. They're outside. This is very weird.
It is very weird.
Then the camera pans and it's just Locke, and it's like, dude, use your words.
And then he does, and he says, we hunt. We're going to hunt boars. Here's my chest full of knives.
Locke, you're unhinged.
And everyone's like...
Your girlfriend is the phone sex lady.
And everyone asks, who is this guy? This guy's pretty crazy. I want to see the scene. I don't really want to see it, but imagine they write that scene so that Sawyer just gets knifed in the chest there.
But then we wouldn't have a show because we wouldn't have a protagonist.
We would have no protagonist, so I see why they didn't do it.
The protagonist would be a protagoner.
It would truly be shocking.
Yes.
But also the protagonist would be a protagoner.
He would be a protagoner, and I want a guy to care about.
Yeah, that's in any media. Everybody needs a proto guy to care about, or a proto girl to care about, proto person to care about.
Proto person, prototype. What's your prototype?
My thing's sound effects.
Here's a T-Rex. I remember Proto Baggins from the Lord of the Ring. Lord of the Rink.
The roller derby movie?
Yes.
Good movie.
Really good. Terry O'Quinn was also in that one.
He was?
He played the rollerblades.
Wow, what a role. What an insane role. Honestly.
You know who it starred?
Who?
Hurley.
No way. It starred the character Hurley and the actor Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah. And you know who Hurley's nemesis was?
Who's that?
Helen.
No! It all comes back.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wow, the extended Lost metaverse runs deep, doesn't it?
It runs deep. It runs deep. Sort of like Charlie's subplot here.
Yes. So Charlie has a subplot where he do a heroin. Literally all we know about him is he do a heroin.
He do a heroin and he look so sketchy.
He looks so sketchy. He has a hoodie that he puts up when he's doing heroin.
Yeah,
that's
it's
how
his
you know,
heroin hoodie.
That's how you know he's
Double
high.
H. Helly Hansen heroin hoodie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess what we should talk about first is
the boar?
Well, I guess we want to establish that the whole kind of arc of the episode is everyone's trying to find food. Mm-hmm. Everyone's trying to figure out food. Locke says, let's hunt boar. So he assembles a crew to do that. And then there's some other talk where Boone and Shannon, remember Boone and Shannon, they're here.
Our favorites.
And Shannon's sitting down, and Boone is saying, you can't do anything. I'm getting firewood, and you're not helping. And Shannon's like, oh, yeah, I can
fish.
I can fish, you know. And then she goes to find Charlie, who's doing heroin. And Charlie's like, oh, I was not just doing heroin at all. What's up?
She's like, I don't care.
I don't care. And they go to have a chat, and Charlie's like a complete like goober about it.
Yeah.
Here, like I've been vocal about like Charlie's a funny guy. Things don't really work for me. It worked for me here. It
was fun enough.
It was
because
it
was just a character being a character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It
was like, oh, pretty girl wants me to get her a fish.
Oh.
That's what I do this episode.
I guess that's what I got to do this episode. There's a moment where Shannon's like, hey, can I ask you something? And Charlie's like, I know what you're going to ask. Yes, I am in a famous band. And before he can even get the words out, Shannon's like, oh, can you fish? Because I need a fish. And I wrote down one of the sentences Charlie says in response to this. He kind of does that classic Charlie thing where he's like, oh, yeah, of course I know how to fish.
Oh,
of course I can fish. I can fish all the time. He says a really wild sentence here, which is, England's an island, so I just throw it in and fish.
Charlie, you goddamn character. You goddamn sap. You don't know how to fish. You've never seen a fish in your life.
Maybe the greater strength than the like classic iconic reveal.
Yeah.
Making me enjoy Charlie.
Yeah, really. I like Charlie in this episode. Because I guess I like heroin Charlie. I feel a bit bad saying that. I don't want to say that Charlie should be doing heroin because it's bad for him. But in terms of making me enjoy his character... Yeah, keep doing it.
I mean, it gave him some conflict, and also
that is exactly it, actually.
And it's I think they just drop it. We saw the scene where he throws the heroin in the water, and then that's it.
That's it. He's just not
good.
A heroin addict anymore.
He's just good. That's not a part of his character anymore.
Yeah.
So while it makes for interesting television. You know?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
So,
like you said,
there's also a good scene where Charlie and Hurley are in the ocean.
Yeah.
They're waist deep, and they have a shitty little
spear.
A homemade slab of metal on a stick.
Yeah.
And they're both trying to do it, and they're getting wet, and they're laughing, and they're going, "No, you got to do it this way."
Oh.
And it's just guys
we
being
both
dudes.
Can't catch a fish.
Neither of us can catch a fish.
To tie it all up, Charlie catches a fish,
brings it to Shannon, and Boone is like, damn, you just got played, dude. And Shannon
takes the fish and leaves. And Charlie just looks like a sap.
Charlie just looks like a sap. It's a good subplot.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun enough.
It's fun enough. So the main plot, Locke wants to assemble a crew to go hunt some boar.
Yes.
He assembles Kate and Michael to do this. Michael does this because he wants to prove to his son, his estranged son Walt, that he's actually a cool guy, I guess, kind of.
Walt.
Remember them? And Kate does it because Saeed asks him to put a transmitter up somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Also, Saeed's in this episode. He's trying to chip away at a transmitter.
He wrangled up some sort of electronic, and he said, "Here, Kate, here's a transmitter. You take this and tie it to a tree somewhere." And Kate's like, "All right, buddy, I'm going to go get the boar, but what I really want to do is put your transmitter in a tree."
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't Saeed put the transmitter in the tree?
He's busy making more transmitters, I guess.
I guess so. I guess transmitter's got to transmit. You know what I mean?
I do know exactly what you mean. So they go out into the wild and they start to track a boar.
Uh-huh.
And
Track a Boar would be a cool hip hop name.
that would be. There is a track a boar.
Track a Boar.
I like the rhythm of that. I like the way it feels saying it. Track a boar.
So anyone can use that one. I'm not going to start.
That's a freebie for any aspiring MCs out there.
You don't even have to credit us. We'll see you on the charts and we'll know we did that.
If a MC named Trackabore does in fact blow up and they don't give me at least $1, I'm gonna lose it.
PayPal? What's your PayPal?
Oh, my PayPal is Limp Bizkit rules at paypal.biz.
Really? Mine's trackabore@gmail.com.
That makes a little more sense.
You gotta watch out for Trackabore, everybody. He's on the rise.
He's on the rise. He's going up. He's trending. So here's what happens.
Yeah.
They find the boar.
Yeah.
And the boar bodies Michael.
Yeah, it really nails Michael.
It really fucks him up.
Michael is very bad at everything. I guess because he's an artist.
He's an artist. He's also trying to figure out how to be a dad.
Yeah.
And he thinks the answer is to go hunt a boar.
Yeah, go hunt a boar, Dad. I remember the day I said that to my dad.
And your dad said, "Well, I got to now."
I guess so, son.
Guess so. Every son must demand a boar from their dad, as is tradition in Prince Edward Island.
And he got the boar, and now he can remain my dad for another 100 years.
But watch out in 100 years where you got to get another boar. Got to renew the contract.
God damn it.
So, here's what happens. Michael, his leg is all busted up. Kate is sitting there tending to it. And they're like, okay, Michael's hurt. We got to go back. And Locke says, "You know what? I'm going to take care of the boar on my own, actually. You guys are fine." And and Kate's like, "No, actually, Michael is really fucked up. We have to, you cannot go out alone.
Yeah.
You can't go out alone." And Locke says, "Don't tell me what I can't do."
There he goes.
And then
Locke is a 4-year-old.
Locke is literally a baby.
Don't tell me what I can't do. Come on, guy. I'm not telling you what you can't do. I'm saying a man is hurt.
I'm saying help Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
The boar aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So while we get another scene where Kate is putting up the transmitter, and then we hear the crazy honking and roaring and screaming, and it's not a boar. We know it as the smoke monster.
Yes.
And we get a tree rustling POV shot of Locke alone from the monster's perspective, and it kind of cranes down over him, and Locke looks fucking crazy.
He just looks.
He just looks at it, and he's just can't really believe what he's seeing.
Yeah.
It's a classic look of the episode, and they keep referencing this moment
as
Locke. The look of Locke.
The look of Locke.
The look of Locke. The look of Locke.
The look of Locke. Oh, yes. The look of Locke.
This is a different podcast now. I would argue this is now just ASMR, I guess.
Sorry, yeah. I was just a little bit inspired by Helen.
Yeah, yeah. We're Helen now. Welcome to the Helen Shuffle.
Welcome to Helen's show.
I'm Helen.
And I'm Helen.
And we're here to help you unless you buy us a ticket to Australia. In which case, we gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little
I'm going to
much.
take the next phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I am the phone sex lady.
That's what I am. That's what we are. So, Kate and Michael come back to camp, and they're like, the boar's still out there. Locke went off on his own. The monster was there. We don't fucking know what happened to him. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. How does that resolve? Well, it resolves with the end of another subplot that's happening. So let's talk about that first for a bit.
Which one?
I'm talking about how the bodies are all there.
The bodies are all in the fuselage.
So Jack is doing some cleaning up, some tidying, and Claire comes up and says, hey, some people were thinking we should maybe burn the bodies so that they don't,
keep attracting boar.
Exactly. I think
they wreak havoc upon our camp.
I think that's Jack's idea. Jack says we should burn
Jack
the bodies.
is like, we should burn them. Some people are like, we should bury them, and Jack is like, no.
That will never work, except for how after this they bury every single body.
Oh, yeah, after this everyone's buried. But I guess it sort of does make sense because they would have to just dig such a huge mass grave. And Jack is like, we got to get this done soon.
Exactly.
The boar just keep coming back. They're eating these people. Let's burn them.
It makes sense to me. So, Claire comes up and says, hey, some people were thinking, maybe we should have like a little memorial service, a kind of a funeral while they're burning maybe. We could like read off passport names. I know we didn't really all know each other, but like, it's something, right? And Jack's kind of like, I don't know. That's not really my, if that's what people want, sure, but I kind of got problems. I'm doing doctor stuff over here.
No, thank you, pregnant lady.
No, thank you. And then later, Boone comes up and says, hey, see Rose over there? She hasn't come back since the plane crash. She's just been sitting out there all alone. You should go talk to her. And Jack's like, fucking stop asking me to do stuff.
Yeah, why am I the only person that anyone asks to do anything?
Major theme of Jack's character is he is reluctant to be the leader, but thrust upon it anyway.
Yeah. Which is incredibly evident here. But in most of what we've seen, he loves being the leader.
Yes.
But the start of it, which I sort of had forgotten. I didn't really realize that was the case. Just everyone keeps asking him to solve every single problem.
Yes, and he's just like, please, I'm just trying to live, dude.
I'm just Jack, buddy.
I'm just a guy. I'm just a bozo like you.
And life is a nightmare. I'm just a guy, and I know that it's not fair. Nobody wants to be alone on an island.
That's how that song goes.
Yeah.
They wrote it about Lost.
About Locke and Lost, and don't tell me what I can't reinterpret.
Hey, I like it. So, sure enough, Jack does eventually go to sit next to Rose.
Yeah.
And they have a chat, and Rose is like Jack's just kind of like, hey, you're in shock, and we're all in shock, but you got to take care of yourself. So drink some water, do something. And they just kind of sit there for like most of the episode.
Oh, for so long.
Like every so often.
30 minutes.
It literally just like keeps cutting back to them, and they're just sitting and they keep on chatting.
Yeah.
And Rose is like, Bernard's fingers, they swell up. And that's why I have his ring, because I took it. Because it would have gotten stuck on his finger otherwise. So.
And it's like, I guess this is what the show Lost is.
This is what the show Lost is.
Talking about Bernard's fingers.
Even from episode 4, Bernard's impact could be felt.
I love Bernard.
As the stealth protagonist.
He's so crazy. The stealth protagonist. Bernard, the stealth protagonist. I love that.
Yeah, dude, he, not to spoil it, he makes it to the end of the show.
Oh, of course he does.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen him in the finale, but he makes it.
He's Bernard, the stealth protagonist.
Yeah, exactly. Sawyer's a true protagonist. Sawyer's a true protagonist. Bernard's a stealth protagonist. And that's it.
Terry O'Quinn is the antagonist.
Yes, Terry O'Quinn. Terry O'Quinn is the antagonist of my heart.
And the stealth antagonist?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
Can you guess?
Frank.
No, one more.
Ricky.
Helen! Obviously it's Helen.
Helen is definitely the stealth antagonist. We did just figure that out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's a rich vein, because I'm pretty sure Helen never shows up again.
That's how stealth she is.
That is the truest stealth there could be. So, while they're having a chat about Bernard.
Wait.
Yo.
You know how, say you have a baby and it's a boy.
Of course, yes.
The doctor will say, look, here, a healthy baby boy.
Yes.
Well, if you are pregnant and you don't know it, and then you go into labor and then you have a baby boy, which has happened before, it's not common.
Yes.
The doctor will say, look at what we have here, a stealthy baby boy.
Oh, boy. It was a long walkabout, but we made it. We made it there. And it was.
We made it to the final destination. This actually is the movie Final Destination.
It is.
Because I just murdered that joke. I killed.
You killed it. It's also the Smash Brothers level Final Destination in the sense that it's the only level that I want to be on. And if you're not on that level, get out of here.
Get on my level.
Get on my level. It's also the Smash Brothers Final Destination in the sense that it is completely flat.
I don't know what this. Oh,
yes.
the it's an arena.
Yes. Exactly.
I see.
Exactly.
It is completely flat.
Yes.
My
exactly.
joke.
Yes.
That
was a little mean, but
that
was a little mean.
Not my joke that I know and love.
Your joke that you've been nursing to health for years.
I loved that joke, and I set it out upon the world, and its first response was negative.
I was positive at first. My first response was positive.
The first genuine response was negative.
No,
not my joke. I'll never tell another joke again.
Oh no, you heard it here first, folks.
My joking days are over.
I killed James Brown's comedy career here and now.
I am now kill a boar.
Trackabore. Killabore is Crackabore's antagonist.
Yeah, Killabore is hell.
Fuck. It's hot in here.
It is hot.
It's hot in here. We've had a Mai Tai.
I like it.
We're feeling groovy.
Yeah, Killabore.
So, while Jack is chatting with Rose, whom does he see in the distance?
His dad.
His daddy.
Daddy-o.
He sees a daddy-o, and he's like, "What? My dad is dead. That's crazy." So he goes to chase it, and he goes, and he's not there, and he keeps going, and who does he find? But Locke dragging Terry O'Quinn dragging a damn ass dead boar out. So
Killabore comes out with his backing band, Boar.
Killabore Locke.
He's like, we can eat now.
We can eat, and everybody eats. Also, Locke is fine, I guess?
Yeah, Locke is just fine. Locke is covered in blood, and then the next scene we see, there's no wounds.
He's fine.
So I guess it was the boar's blood. That sort of makes sense.
I think so, yeah. So the funeral happens to close out the episode.
Yeah.
And the fuselage is burning in a big, beautiful fire. Claire is reading out names and being like, "Oh, Joanna. Don't know her, but I bet she was traveling just like the rest of us." Katie is yep, and it's another name.
She's dead too.
Yep. Boone is there holding a torch.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is the light.
He's the light upon us all. And
Hurley is there doing nothing in particular.
Hurley's hanging around.
Yeah.
Charlie's doing heroin.
Charlie is doing heroin
Charlie
like a few feet away. And we know this because, well, I guess one, because he has a bag of heroin, but also he's got his heroin hoodie on.
And he's wondering where Jack is, and Jack is over.
Very close. Like close. 10 feet away sitting down.
And Michael says, "Hey, congrats on getting the boar," to Locke. And he says, "We saw that thing was heading to you. Did you get a good look at it?" And he clearly did. Yeah. But Locke just looks at him and says, "Nope, didn't see nothing." And we get that final flashback where we learn about how he can walk now. And the final shot is he looks at the wheelchair, and we see the wheelchair get engulfed in flames. And
beautiful.
That's the episode.
Beautiful episode. A good episode of Lost.
Fantastic episode of Lost.
Holy hell.
It's like
holy Helen.
Really something.
Yeah.
It really because what you really what like everyone remembers is the reveal, obviously. Yeah. But like the meat and potatoes of it, the just like ensemble of the cast kind of like bouncing off each other. Really works well.
It's cool.
Yeah.
This is when we're just learning about them. We're not tired of them.
Exactly.
Charlie is interesting still.
Yeah.
It's not the 100th time that Kate is like, "I want to go," and Jack's like, "You can't go."
Exactly. It just feels like everything that happens feels like relatively organic.
Yeah.
Which is like outstanding, especially considering how like even later in the season it kind of forces, but like when you have shows where it's like we have to divide the group up into 3 different parts now, and this is how it has to happen. They have to go back because, of course, they have to go back.
Yeah.
Why do they have to go back? Well, they have to go back. Well, they have to.
They keep doing this. Yeah.
Like things happen because the plot says they have to happen. But here it just feels like, oh, of course Michael's going on. His son was ragging on him earlier. Why wouldn't Michael go along?
Yeah,
on this?
we're learning things. We're not like being forced into some shitty maze.
Like the and you have like quiet moments, like the whole conversation with where Rose and Jack are just kind of like chatting it out and being like, well, pretty fucked up that we were in a plane crash, huh?
Yeah.
And Rose is like, I believe my husband is still alive. And Jack's like, all right, buddy.
Later, Gator.
Later, Gator. It's a hell of an episode where like not much happens, but a lot happens.
Oh yeah, but everything happens.
Everything happens.
It's cool.
It's really like when I say Lost season 1 is a different show, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if this is what Lost was, then I would think it's a very good show.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why it's such a beloved episode.
Terry O'Quinn's autobiography.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Terry, for sharing your story.
It's Terry time, baby.
It's Terry time, baby.
Let me call up Helen.
Probably the most iconic moment of the episode is after the wheelchair fully like gets engulfed in flames. Locke looks at the camera and says, "It's Terry time, baby," and then it irises out on his scar.
And then we don't get another Terry O'Quinn episode for like 10 episodes.
No, but we get plenty of Locke episodes.
True.
What do you say we wrangle ourselves up another episode? Probably won't be as good as this one.
I'm going to go to random.org, 1 to 121. I'm going to click generate.
Please do.
6.
Wow.
It will be as good as this one.
Oh, boy, I hope so. Well, it'll be episode 6, which will be... it won't be Walkabout because we just watched that.
That's true. It won't be Terry O'Quinn's autobiography.
It'll be House of the Rising Sun. Guess
Sun.
It's the Sun episode.
It's a pun about her name.
It's a pun about her name because her name is Sun, and it's Sun episode.
Sun episode.
It's gonna be Sun episode, huh?
Well, I can't wait to see it, son.
Maybe we should watch it on Sunday.
Somewhere over the rainbow, there is this episode.
We need to end this before I die.
All right.
I've been Bean.
I've been James.
Thank you so much for listening to this silly podcast where we are goobers confirmed. And like we say at the end of every episode,